I would like to call the November 14th, 2024 Surrey City Planning Board meeting to order. Do I have a motion to adopt our agenda?
I make a motion.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, next I need to get approval of the October 10th, 2024 minutes of the Surrey City Planning Board. Approved.
I'm going to make one correction. Stephen with a V at the end, Stephen Pasquanternio, has me as a PH. Sheila,
What's that?
in the very back. About the last one. Last page. Last page, page 7. Very last
Oh, the
line.
very last comment. We didn't want them to know who you were. Any other corrections, comments? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for October 10th?
Motion.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. I believe we do have someone for public comment. Amy?
The two people that signed in just signed in case there are questions during their particular case that they are not for public comment, but for their case.
Okay. Okay. Next on the agenda is a rezoning request for Applewood Trace.
So in your packet tonight is a request by the developers of Applewood Trace to modify the site plan associated with the CZ4 zoning. In your packet is a very long history on this project that I am not going to go through tonight. But basically, phases 3 through 7 of the original Turtle Creek development received the zoning CZ5 and became Applewood Trace on November 20th of 2023. So everything tonight is just about that project that was approved on November 20th, 2023. So the 2023 site plan included 399 residential units with a mix of residential types and a small retail portion along the US 17 access. The residential portion consists of 181 single-family lots and 218 duplex townhomes. The proposal provided a clubhouse and pool area for its new residents. By retaining existing wetlands and providing active open space, the development provided 104.85 acres of open space. The site plan also proposed a boat and RV storage area. The area would be utilized only by Applewood Trace residents and would not be a commercial storage facility. The approved rezoning was tied to the site plan that was submitted at that time. There was also 10 conditions that were agreed upon by both the applicant and council during the rezoning process. They are in your packet, but I'm not going to read them tonight. As final engineering and permitting of the project continued, the applicant proposed changes to the site plan while maintaining the above conditions and the spirit of the original rezoning request. So the major changes in the development are noted on the site plan, and they include the reduction of the total number of units from 399 to 390. The original single-family lots were 48 foot wide. We will now have a section that is 42 feet wide and a section that is 52 foot wide. The cottage-style units have been replaced with townhomes. The on-street parking has been removed with on-site parking within the townhome section of the development. The open space increased by 6.11 acres. The boat and RV storage has been relocated to a previously vacant area of land. Houses have been placed in the area that was previously designated as the original boat and RV storage. And this is a good thing because it now provides a landing spot for the pedestrian connection to Surf City Elementary and Middle School in the residential section, and it doesn't dump those kids out into a boat storage area. And then in the count, the change in single-family and cottage-style townhome units, the single-family homes increased from 181 to 319, and the cottage-style decreased from 218 units to 71 townhomes. There are no proposed changes to the vehicular or pedestrian flows and improvements. The utilities are the same. The town will provide water and manage the sewer for this development. There are no major changes in the environmental impacts. The buffering has not changed. They still have provided that 25-foot buffer along all of our property lines. And again, in other TRC notes, if approved, the final engineer plans will be submitted to the town for TRC review to ensure that town ordinances and any conditions agreed upon have been met. So that is the majority of it. So as noted in the above discussions, the applicant has requested that the conditional district PUD be modified per the attached site plan. All conditions of the original approval will remain in place with the exception of the modifications of the attached plan. Staff does not have issue or concern with the modifications as submitted. And Mr. Collier is here and would like to give a quick brief presentation as well.
Good afternoon, Richard Collier with McKim & Creed. I'm not going to belabor this point very much. It's Amy has given you a very good overview of what our changes are. In effect, it is now predominantly single-family, true single-family, and townhomes, all for sale products. There is not any more rent. There's not any rental products in this one, which was, I know, a big issue as we went through all of the zoning case. Units have decreased, and we still are maintaining the boat and storage area. We are still maintaining the connection over to the school for the students that goes across the wetlands. So all those pieces and parts are still in place. We have provided more open space through the new zoning or the new configuration of the lots. You know, it's just provided a little bit more of the open space area. So I think it is, as much as we can continue to refine this plan, it is more what the public was asking for, what the council asked for, and what you guys asked us for as we were going through all of our approvals. So I do have a few pictures. I've got blow-ups of the plans if you want to see additional, anything larger than the little small ones probably in your package. If you click through a couple slides for me, please. We all know how big it is. Go ahead to the next one. This is really just going through and saying these are the things that we changed. The numbers of single-family homes that went up to the 319, and then there's 71 townhomes. 390 is the total number. We were approved at the 399 units, so we're down from that number. The next one, please. Go ahead and flip a couple more. I want to go to the blow-ups of the drawings themselves, just so everyone can see. A couple more. So this is an area in the top which is up by Edgecombe Estates, and that's where we talked about 42 feet wide and 52 foot wide lots. Previously we had shown them all as a blend of the same width, but we went ahead and identified them whether they're 42 feet or 52 feet. Still will have single family homes on them. It's as if we've talked about the whole way through. And you can see, flip to the next slide please. It's coming down south from there back towards the original Turtle Creek area. The townhome lots are coming in the purple. The purple dots are where the 71 townhomes are located. Everything else is single family. Everything that abuts the Turtle Creek neighborhood is single family. Our area in the center is still for the recreational area that has the disposal site that the town will have the use of. And then in front of that at the roundabout is still the amenity center, which is not programmed out completely, but that's where the amenity will be. I'll answer any questions you guys have. We certainly would love your approval of this and hope that it meets what the town has been looking for in Applewood Trace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy, do we have anything that dictates whether these are sold or rented?
We cannot dictate that as a board. However, Mr. Collier is just mentioning that because that was mentioned significantly during the public meetings was that for rent product that they previously had, and they have removed it. But we, as a board, cannot take that into account. Yes, sir.
There's nothing that they could change their mind back if they decided to.
I mean, theoretically, if they wanted to keep 390 homes and rent every single one of them, they could. I don't think that'd be a good business model, but sure.
Thank you.
The boat storage itself, that was, from my understanding, is now shifted to where the school kids won't be walking back and forth past that. That's the first thing they'll be walking past. Is that correct?
They will not be walking through it. So the boat storage is now, you see the long, may I walk to this, and I'll point there. I'll talk a little louder. So the boat storage was in this area. It's now down in this area, which is a little bit, it's accessed from the cul-de-sac here. So now the kids, there's a street that comes down, and these are single-family homes. So then that's the boardwalk where the kids would walk, so they would not be walking through the boat storage.
While you're there, can you point out where the Edgecombe community is bordering?
Back the slide for me. I don't have the clicker right now. Yeah, so Edgecombe is here, and where we were just looking at is just down off the screen. Go back one more, and I can show them an overall of everything.
Please.
So this is the Edgecombe community. This is where we were just looking at. This is the street that comes down where the access that goes over to the school is, and then that's where the RV.
And where's the Man Hollow Church?
Man Hollow Church Road is right here. This is Edgecombe Drive, and that's Man Hollow Church Road.
Okay, and how much traffic? I mean, I know that we're not talking about the subdivision as far as, it's already been approved. I'm just curious.
The way the approval is the construction traffic initially to build, and building in that direction, we would need to have that road in. So the initial construction would come through Man Hollow Church Road, and then everything's going, generally, that's our first phase, is down closer to Turtle Creek.
So past the cemetery and then make a left.
That's the cemetery, make a left, correct. And we have to improve the streets to make sure they're meeting DOT requirements and those types of things. So right now, they're unpaid streets that we would need to pay based on previous agreement.
And Amy, just for clarification, the 42 feet wide lots meet our standards, correct?
So for PUD does allow for the smaller lots. Now, for an R5 or an R10, it would not. It would be a 50-foot minimum. But the PUD zoning, which is the underlying zoning of this district, does allow for smaller lots.
But it doesn't stipulate how small.
Not really. PUD, the whole kind of point of the PUD is to allow you, sorry, got distracted. The whole point of the PUD is to allow the applicant and the town to work together and to create a product that minimizes impacts to the environment. So part of that is having those smaller lots so you get more density while allowing for greater undisturbed areas. So it does allow for that size lot.
Wider lots
It allows for the smaller lots clustered more together.
make it less dense.
Correct. But they are 9 lots less than what they were approved for.
I get that, yeah.
And the lots were 48 feet with varying lot widths previously. The lot widths, I asked that they specifically call them out and not have them labeled as varying. So the previous rendition had varying lot widths on them throughout.
Are the majority of them under 48?
He had the number up there.
I couldn't read
What was
it.
that number?
Sorry, if you'll click back 3 or 4 slides for me. That one. So there are about, it's not quite a 50-50 split, 184, 52, and 135 or 42 feet wide.
I mean, there's nothing in between. Is that correct?
No, there's nothing in between. Most of that was to address, we talked about cottage-style houses that were, side by side and joined, and most folks didn't like that. They thought the cottage-style were too much townhomes, so we broke them into complete single-family homes, which was, at what we thought we heard from the community and the boards.
Not that it's relevant for my personal information. Turtle Creek, are they 50-foot lots? Do you recall?
Turtle Creek averages about 7,500 square foot, so they may be just a little bit bigger.
Thank you. I appreciate your work on this, guys. Kind of listen to our requests, especially from the community. I think you guys definitely, this plan definitely shows that you guys were listening and then came back to us with something that, that took those concerns into effect. So I appreciate that. I make a motion to approve.
A second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. The plan is approved. Thank you.
Thanks.
Amy, next on the agenda, we have a site plan approval for Advanced Auto.
Yes, ma'am. You get switched over. So in your packet tonight is a site plan approval associated with the Advanced Auto. So Amy will be submitted this. However, Mr. Chris Neal is here tonight if you have questions, but she was the name on the applicant. They are requesting site plan approval of the attached retail development. The proposed development includes the construction of a 6,889 square foot Advanced Auto Parts retail store and its associated driveway, parking, utilities, and stormwater management infrastructure. The total site area is 1.19 acres, with 0.95 acres being disturbed. The property is an outparcel for the Surf City Crossing development located on NC Highway 210. The outparcel is adjacent to the Mod Wash car wash. The subject property does not have direct access to NC 210 as it is an outparcel of the Harris Teeter Shopping Center. Access to the site is provided by an internal driveway located off of the connector road between Austin Boulevard and Wilkes Lane. The shopping center did provide a traffic impact analysis to the NCDOT when it was built. All roadway improvements that were required as a part of that traffic impact analysis were installed at that time, so no additional improvements along NC 210, Wilkes Lane, or Austin Boulevard will be required. The site will receive water and sewer from the town of Surf City. The site will utilize a subsurface infiltration basin to collect and treat stormwater. A sidewalk will be placed along NC 210 frontage, which will connect to the existing Mod Wash sidewalk and set up for the next property that comes through. The proposed site plan provides for off-street parking per town ordinances and does meet that requirement. They are also providing our type A, B, and C and D buffers as required by the ordinance. So depending on where you're at, street trees, whether you're blocking the headlights from your parking or whether you're just sharing a common property line, all of those have been met. We went back and forth a little bit on the architecture. Those renderings have been submitted for your review. They are incorporating the brick from Harris Teeter so that they tie in as being an outparcel of Harris Teeter. They do have to tie into that somewhat. So the faux shutters and the brick all tie into that existing development. Staff recommends approval of the site and architectural plans as submitted. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And again, we do have a representative if you have any questions of him.
I do have a question, just for curiosity. So we have the architectural features that we require in these ordinances. How does that compare to the ones that were our new zoning update? Are we changing, how is that being changed currently in our new zoning update?
I think there's a little bit more clarification in what counts and what doesn't count. Obviously, this was submitted prior to that, so we followed the old one, but there is a little bit better clarification and moving around of some of the information, so it's easier to find and closer together. But the faux windows, the stone, the brick, the lighting, they all will still continue to count.
So I like the idea that the brick matches the Harris Teeter, but that red's going to really be a conflict with the colors of the mod car wash.
I'm not going to say that it isn't. However, I don't have anything to tell the Advanced Auto that they can't be
I
red
know
beside
that's
the
their
pink.
colors, but
If they would like to soften that color in any way,
no, their building looks great.
I think it turned out pretty. They listened to the things that I asked and made the changes as asked. But it is red. But you know, red's a good color too.
I love red. I'm just saying red, pink, 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 pink. Pink, a lot of pink.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Did you get that, Amy? Sheila?
Steve and Frankie, right?
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Project is approved. Okay, Amy, next on the agenda is site plan approval for ZV Commercial, AKA Ziggy's.
Hey, Ziggy's. So in your packet tonight is a site plan request for approval of Ziggy Ventures LLC. Kyle is here with the engineer, so if you have any questions, he's happy to answer those tonight. So Ziggy's Ventures LLC requests site plan approval for the NC 210 ZV commercial site plan consisting of 6,500 square feet of restaurant and retail space. The project is located in the southeast quadrant of the NC 5210 Edgewater Way intersection. The project will have a full access driveway on Edgewater Way, which is currently a private street, and will not have direct access to NC 5210. The applicant has provided the property deed noting that access is granted to Edgewater Way. The applicant provided a trip generation per the NCDOT ITE trip generation guidelines. Based on these standards, the project will have an estimated trip generation of 900 daily trips with an AM peak of 64 and a PM peak of 76, with the remainder of the trips being throughout the day. And I do just want to remind everybody, when we say trip, that is either an enter or an exit. It is not both. So if you're looking at 900 for your daily trips, that's probably actually 450 cars coming. That is not 900 cars coming and going, because that tends to confuse people, and we don't talk about it a ton. So, and then just some other key points. A sidewalk will be placed along NC 5210 to connect with the existing sidewalk crosswalk along Edgewater Way, as well as the adjacent retail shop. The project will receive water and sewer from the town of Surf City. Due to the site being greater than an acre, the applicant will be required to obtain a sediment erosion control permit and a state stormwater permit from NCDEQ. The site plan provides the location of the stormwater pond as a buffer between the commercial and residential properties behind it. The approved NCDEQ permits will be required before issuance of the building permit. The proposed site plan provides for a total of 65 off-street parking spaces with 62 standard and 3 handicap. The total number of parking spaces is 4 below the maximum number allowed per the current ordinance for retail and restaurant, and meets the minimum space requirement. And in case you're wondering, we just don't have a maximum anymore in the new ordinance. We just have the minimum. The applicant is meeting the buffer and landscape requirements. And as previously mentioned, that's going to be the A, B, C, and D, street trees, property lines, and adjacent to parking. The applicant has submitted architectural renderings for the proposed building. The renderings provide a covered porch, parapets, adhered architectural stone, faux windows, shade structure, and a metal canopy with an integral gutter as building architectural elements. The building height will not exceed 20 feet. The picture in front of you is what you will see from NC 5210. Your packet, though, however, did have all four sides shown. So the Edgewater side also has some porches and different things to give that same street appeal that you're getting along the 5210 corridor. Staff recommends approval as submitted. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And again, there is a representative here tonight if you need something from him.
I've just a question about like a delivery. How are the is there any delivery drop off or a loading zone in there? That's not required. We don't require anything for restaurant. Getting an 18-wheeler in and out of there.
Yeah, so you can get a typical restaurant like this is going to be a WB40 drop off, WB40 40-foot trailer. So with the site configuration, you can get a 40-foot trailer in. We provided a configuration where he can come in, he can back into that spur, and then he can get back out. And with this site, knowing the restaurant space, that's one of the reasons we required above the minimum, or we've provided above the minimum parking to provide, better configuration. And those deliveries are going to be scheduled in off-peak hours, if that makes sense. They're not going to be, a vehicle's not going to be dropping off a food delivery at 5 o'clock in the evening when the restaurant's being used. So with this site, we've provided adequate configuration to get that size vehicle, in the site and back out safely.
So you talk about just being able to come in and back in all the way up to the loading area, or is it?
So entry here, back into the spur, back out. What's more likely going to happen is, something of that configuration, like I talked about with the off-peak hours deliveries. But there is adequate access. He could make this turn, back out, get out that way. So he has numerous different options to kind of get in there and move that WB40 delivery vehicle in there.
Will Edgewater be turned over to the town at some point?
So Waterside has the ability to request that the town take over maintenance of the street, and then the council has the ability to approve or deny said request. My understanding from Waterside is that it is their intent to eventually turn over at least that street, if not all the streets, to the town. However, that process has not been started or initiated on their side.
This has nothing to do with the decision, but is Ziggy's a chain, or is it just a name of us?
The name of the LLC. Yeah, he's Ziggy.
Hi, Ziggy.
Yeah.
He's not a chain. I don't own any restaurants.
Not in the music industry, are you? No.
Yeah, just how big of a restaurant is it going to be, like seat-wise?
It's approximately 4,500-ish square feet, and the retail bay is about 1,900 square feet.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. The project is approved. Okay, Amy, next we have preliminary plat for the terraces.
Yes, ma'am. So the Terraces has been around for a while. It is the subdivision that is located between Dogwood Lakes and the Arbors. It is behind the Harris Teeter, so you go down Austin Boulevard, turn right, and it's between there and Dogwood Lakes. So the project was zoned MFC-CU, which required the below conditions, which is only allow for single-family homes, provide pedestrian connectivity to Lowe's, provide water connectivity to the Arbors, Dogwood Lakes, Lowe's home improvements, and stub out to the property line towards US 17 for future connectivity, add a dense buffer between the road and the homes in Dogwood Lakes as determined by staff, add a dense buffer between the Lowe's property and the proposed Lot 31 as determined by staff. All of that was done prior to me coming with the town, so that's what I was able to get out of the old records. After rezoning, the preliminary plat was approved by Town Council on January 2nd, 2018. Through the Army Corps of Engineers wetland permitting process, changes were made to the site plan. These changes have been presented to TRC, and that includes the addition of Portico Court, the connection to Trellis Road to provide connectivity to the adjacent property, and the removal of the connection of Rosedale Drive to the adjacent property. That was all approved in the summer of 2019. So since that time, we have approved this project for final plat in 7 phases. Of those phases, all are either complete with construction or are under construction at this time. If you look on the subdivision map on your screen, there were 3 lots that are hashed that were shown as future development. At the time, there wasn't, the stormwater permit did not support 79. It only supported the original number of units. So Mr. Poindexter has worked with the NCDEQ to update his state stormwater permit. He has added some additional area or land to this development that now will not be developed to allow for these 3 lots to have built upon area on them. So that reconfiguration map was a part of securing these 3 lots. So all of the roadway improvements, all the sewer, water, storm drain, everything basically except the sidewalks and the street trees are already in front of these lots because they are infill lots in an existing neighborhood. So this is just a modification to the preliminary plat that would allow these 3 additional lots to have homes on them. And staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat.
Any questions?
No.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Project is approved. Ordinance update.
I just want to make sure everybody's aware that that passed on November 5th and that the ordinance update has been completed. However, that is a living document and you may see changes coming before you at any point because anytime a document is updated, once you see it in practice and see whether or not everything that looked good on paper works in the real world. So there may be some changes coming, but I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that anything submitted to the town after November 5th will be under the new ordinances. So over the next couple of months, you may see some things that are under the old ordinance in the same meeting that something is under the new ordinance as we work through this. So there's going to be a little bit of a transition period, but the ordinance did pass at the November 5th meeting. And that's all I have for my update on that.
Is a live copy of that on the website?
We are working to get it updated on American Legal. It will be live on the website on Monday at the latest. I can send y'all the PDF that I have of it just so that you have it. The draft copy that is online now is correct.
If you would send it to us at your convenience, that'd be great.
Yep, I will forward that email to Planning Board.
Whole thing, the entire thing.
Okay, Amy, what's our general project updates?
Okay. So I went through last week or the week before and just went through and pulled every planning permit we had, and if it was an older permit, reached out if nothing had happened, and just kind of did like a wholesale cleanup. So we still have Waterside Section 3 open. We're waiting for the final lift of asphalt, which I believe they were working on this week and last week. So we have some things in there that we're waiting for before we can close out that permit. The townhomes are ready to start being built pretty soon. We have approved that. We have a site off of down towards the Turtle Hospital that we are working on and kind of working through the process of how that's going to tie into the R5900 project and working with them to try to come up with something that works for everybody. The Accolade project, we do have houses that have started under construction in there. So that is moving forward. On the Hines Trailer Park portions that we have done, construction has started on all of the townhome development portions, and they are working on putting in the infrastructure for the subdivision, which was the lots adjacent to the ocean. So we have work on all of those right now. Mill Creek track is being cleared, and they are starting their improvements as well. Our preliminary plans for the Pender EMS building, which will be located on Sea Oaks, is underway. We're waiting for just one little thing, and then hopefully we can move that one forward. We talked about the restaurant tonight at Edgewater 5210. We talked about Applewood Trace tonight. I have a Valvoline site plan that I'm waiting for an architecture on. I have a multi-tenant retail that did a sketch plan review, and that is the one across from the furniture store on 5210 going back towards the bridge. So they did a sketch plan and have kind of gone back and will be coming back to us. Sunrise, Daybreak, Sunset, which would be sunrise. Let me think about it. It'd be bagels, donuts, and burgers all in one building. So we are working on that. We have some questions out, are waiting for that. Advanced Auto you saw tonight. Take 5 oil change. We are still waiting to move forward with that one. They have done the sketch, but we're waiting to move forward with the full TRC review. Wellman, Mr. Wellman has, where there's that little sign that says Wellman Clearing, he is working on a strip mall similar to his product on the other side of the road, so we are waiting for questions or for comments to our questions. Mr. Afifi is looking to put storage behind A&A Builders. Surf City Fitness has submitted their plans, and you have seen that sign for a little bit now, I'm sure, going towards the bridge. We have a special use permit, and if y'all remember, the special use permits no longer come to planning board, they only go to council, but we have a special use permit request to add additional dry dock boat storage at the marina on the island. We have submitted a rezoning request, so for the property that we have looked at that runs from J.H. Batts to from Charlie Medlin to J.H. Batts, and then from J.H. Batts almost to Little Kinston, we will have a request on next month's agenda for RA to R5 zoning. And then we have a subdivision sketch for 11 lots on South Shore Drive, South Topsail near Laureen Drive. It's a piece of Mr. Williams's property. We have a pet crematorium associated with the pet hospital that has just recently been submitted, and the Colonial Heights project that came through here for a conditional district rezone, pulled the conditional district rezone before going to council, and has submitted a sketch plan for an R10 development. And the way that the ordinance read when we started this process is that any subdivision, any major subdivision had to come to planning board for comments prior to being submitted to TRC. So I anticipate at a minimum the RA to R5 zoning and the Colonial Heights at next meeting. So I do anticipate a December planning board meeting. And that is everything that I currently have on my list.
I've been asked about a Chick-fil-A several times lately.
Somebody put that on Facebook, and well, actually, I do know one of the people that did it. But if it's true, that'd be awesome, but no one has come to the town from a Chick-fil-A.
I said,
The dry stack at the marina, that's not part of the existing dry stacks, is it?
No, ma'am. So when everything happened with that project and the property got divided, there is a property line close. The dry stacks that are there are pretty much built out. So this would be on that vacant piece between there and the old, was it Main Cell? The old restaurant there. It would be that piece there.
They need a special use permit to put dry docks there.
Yep. And my understanding is if that they did it, they would have their own, like, drop over point on their property. There's some language I think, in some of the deeds and whatnot that allow for cross access for that piece onto the other piece. But my understanding is that they would look at taking out, one or two of their existing wet slips so that they could put over there.
Whose wet slips?
So the way that the property is now, a portion of the wet slips belong with the undeveloped portion, and a portion of the wet slips belong with the developed portion. So the wet slips on the undeveloped portion, the portion that has Freedom Boats on it, would be the portion that would potentially lose a slip or two to allow for them to put in their boats on their property.
Not the townhouses that are being built, that are going to be built?
On the other side.
Other side, okay.
Yep, the townhouses are down at,
Okay.
behind the trading company, yep.
I'm with you.
So is it the existing owners of the property that are trying to do that?
Yes, ma'am. So the applicant is Ty Hopkins. So that will be on the December council meeting.
Council meeting.
Yes, ma'am, because it's quasi judicial and council couldn't take into account what the planning board said because that becomes hearsay. We changed that.
Thank you, Amy.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that one.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No.
Gavel it.
Meeting is adjourned.